that. There goes that. Okay, and we're good to go.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is episode 373 of the one and only IT and the D Show. Dave suddenly
I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here at the Four Seasons.
Yeah. You planting flowers there? What are you doing over there?
I thought the only other thing that would be better, it's a darn shame that the name changed. Would be where'd you go? Oh, I lost it. It was. I'm sorry. I was going to be funnier. I was going to say it's a darn shame that they don't. If they weren't at the Ritz, that would have been even better.
We're hanging out in our respective homes. Dave's hanging out at the Ritz. Find us online, itandthed.com. Do us a favor, give us a like on the socials and subscribe to us everywhere fine podcasts are sold.
Yep, and as per usual, we're not doing events or anything anytime soon. It's just not happening. We would love to, but with I don't know if you've been watching, but COVID did not disappear. Even though the counts are at.
It's not official yet, Dave.
It's official. COVID is still waiting. That's easy. Okay. So coronavirus is still waiting for the answers like the rest of us.
Yeah, because if it knows how to if it's only if it's 6 feet tall at restaurants, right? It doesn't get you when you're sitting, but it gets you when you're standing. So it knows it's waiting.
Right. Dude, and it only goes back and forth, not sideways. So you can stand close in lines, right, but you got to be 6 feet apart, front to back. Yeah.
And it only picks the one party's events, not the other party's celebration.
Right.
It didn't take long to get political tonight.
It's equal opportunity mocking. It's we hate everybody.
as long as we're joking, it's fine.
That's the way it used to be.
You heard, right? That voice you heard is it's an old friend of ours, a friend of mine, Mr. Mike Lipinski. He is the principal of the data security team over at Plant Moran. Mike, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for hanging out with us.
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here tonight. Miss being in person with you guys. We already talked about why we can't do that.
Yeah, no trust me, we're missing the studios muchly ourselves.
Well, we still have beers in the future, so we'll figure that out once they let us. But yeah, this is a reason why we invited Mike, and I thought this was a great time for this. Is we're starting to get word that more people are getting shifted to a work from home. We got some companies that let people come back that are now shifting it back to a work from home strategy. Yep. And the biggest problem right now, I think, in IT is security, right? When a lot of companies want people to work from home and be safe, but then at the same token, how do they secure these networks? How do they make sure that these people aren't being compromised or they're bringing compromised things back into your corporate network? So we kind of wanted to bring Mike in, disseminate some myths, and talk about some weird buzzwords.
Bob, let's dispel some myths, not disseminate. Disseminate means spread.
What's disseminate mean? Maybe I wanted to spread the myths. That's not the word. I always suck at that. I go for the big word once in a while, and I always swing it.
Allow me to disseminate my wisdom upon the court. Yeah, no, it's not disseminate.
It's
dispel.
I'm gonna hear that shit.
If you want to start on the right foot, you can just say it's security. A lot of us live in denial, so.
Right. Well, no, and I guess that's a really good question to kick things off. Plant Moran is known for being a consulting service, and having a lot of consultants out working with people and that kind of stuff. So, I would assume that, you're used to, remote access policies and that kind of stuff, but I would think this is taking it a step even further and beyond.
It is. It's, when COVID hit, learning to work remote wasn't a challenge for us because you're right. Most of us are road warriors. And so we had the technology in place to support that. We had VPNs in place to securely connect to corporate assets. And we'll talk about some of this later, but we have the technology on our desktops for our teams to properly secure and manage those even when we're not on the network. Our bigger challenge was learning how to deliver a a lot of these services being in a remote environment. It's the consultant's favorite tool is a whiteboard marker on a whiteboard, right? And
Right.
now all of a sudden we're finding new ways to deliver a lot of these services. So
Dude,
that was our biggest change.
So is everyone getting their own CNN smartboard? Because those are really cool.
I wish.
Dude, those are great. You know what I think? I think the touching is fake. I think there's like somebody that's like clicking a mouse behind it, and like the guy's just up there pretending he's touching it.
You
And
had,
then the stuff's
you had the
moving.
guy, you had the one guy at the thing, and then you had Wolf Blitzer walking around with a tablet, and I think they were just slaved together. And so, Wolf was just doing the clickety clicks, and
Most of us have learned how to use the
real.
digital technology, but I have to say, at my age, I've turned my closet door into a makeshift whiteboard, and I got a second, webcam. So,
right.
You don't have the modeling lights now on the left and right, do you? The ring lights?
No.
No. See. So I guess where do you start when you're, let's say just a regular company, a couple thousand people, you're starting this work from home strategy. Where do you start and where do you stop? Because the way I always talked about security, it's kind of like a house, right? You can lock your front door, you can put a Nest Cam, you can buy a dog, you can buy a gun, you can get, the weather guard, hurricane windows, you can build a safe room in the basement. I mean, you can go all out, or you can just kind of leave your front door unlocked. Where do you start and where do you stop?
I know a lot of people that still think a firewall and antivirus is a layered security system. So there's still a lot of those folks out there. But as far as the home-based, I think there's probably some obvious and some non-obvious things we can talk about. I mean, the obvious things are, how do you get people into that network securely? So, a lot of folks struggled with trying to go out and buy additional VPN hardware and VPN licensing, or even thin client type technologies,
right,
to let people in. You touched on some of it. We spent money defending our perimeters. We spent money defending our networks, but we really didn't have a lot on the endpoints. And so Plant Moran has our endpoints covered. We run, technology from CrowdStrike, so they've got complete control of our endpoints, even though I'm sitting here at home. But most of a lot of clients I work with don't have that capability. So when that endpoint leaves the corporate network, to your point, there's a total lack of visibility on it. So, very little control, lack of visibility. So, that comes down to some of the non-obvious challenges, right? Our home networks are inherently insecure. Now, I'm a security professional. I'm
especially
paranoid.
Bob's. Let's be clear.
Yeah. I have a firewall. I have 3 different wireless networks. I keep my IoT stuff separate. I have my corporate network, just like we would advise our clients to do. I have the public network where all the kids can put their stuff and games. So, but most people don't have that in place.
No, Bob just has one big network with every default password still there. That's what Bob has.
I kind of do.
You're lucky I'm not your neighbor, because I'd mess with you if I was.
No, it's the whatever the AT&T. Even though I don't even have AT&T anymore, is the AT&T password is like a 14-digit numeric that I have memorized. That became my eRoll password. That became my pretty much any IoT device became the password.
Right.
So Dave, if you remember that one, then you can hack in my house.
Got it. I'm sure I still have it stored somewhere.
And then your other non-obvious thing is, a lot of it comes down to data privacy. I mean, think about how a lot of people are working. And I have an office, so it wasn't hard for me to work from home. I've got a private place here to work where, my stuff can be locked up. I'm away from family, but most people are working at a kitchen table, in their living rooms, and you're exposing your corporate PC.
Sit at their home bar. I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
I was gonna bring that up at some point in time, Dave. I'm jealous. But some folks are just leaving corporate information sitting on a screen, kids running by. So I mean, there's a whole lot of issues that people need to think about when securing those home-based systems. A lot of them we're still trying to get our hands around.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, that's got to be the biggest struggle that you hear, and you hear it from both sides, both from the corporate side and the actual employee side. I mean, it's not like they really want or enjoy the fact that they're sitting there at the kitchen table or dining room table with trying to turn that into a workspace, while the kids are also trying to use it for their 3rd grade homework, while whoever's trying to use it for homeowners association meeting work and that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's definitely a struggle, and I mean, I can see why that's a headache just for everybody all around.
Yeah, those are a lot of the challenges. And again, you think about it, you might have 2 people working from home. You might have, kids doing their distance learning. That's just a lot of stuff going on in that household at that point in time. So a lot of new threats to the corporate environment. Well, we didn't even talk about, a lot of folks didn't have the ability to send corporate gear home. So they had to go down the path of allowing people to connect to the environment with personal equipment. That's a whole other conversation that we could have, and the threats that brings in. So
yeah, you thought BYOD was bad. BYOD remotely is even worse.
Right. Right.
Well, that's the one thing that caught my eye recently. We're talking to a lot of 25 to 75 seat companies. There's not one of them that hasn't been hit by ransomware. It's insane. Like these companies that traditionally are like 100-year-old HVAC supply distribution companies,
right?
80-year-old man behind a green screen, and 12 people that are in the big office, and they get hit with ransomware.
And not like virtual background green screen. Let's be clear for the kids at home that have no idea what a green screen mainframe looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, don't date all of us now.
Right. But it's I just talked to a company on last Friday. It was property restoration firm, 40 people. They got 6 months after ransomware, and they decided not to pay it, roll back, but then their accounting software got wiped, to rebuild it. I mean, this is when it's nuts, when companies like that are getting hit by ransomware. I mean, so what? I mean, I don't know if you got any tips or tricks, but what, other than being aware that this is going to happen to them, what can they do for themselves?
Tip number 1: don't click the link. That's tip number 1. Yeah,
that's how it happened.
That is the biggest. It's it's still over 90% of the initial breaches still come in through phishing. It's good companies that train often, an industry average is about 10% click rate. Companies that are really good at doing their security awareness training might get down to 2 or 3%. But if you got a 2,000 person company, 2 or 3% still a lot of people clicking on a link. So it's you're still inviting that threat in. So when it happens, why does it happen? It's nothing different than it's always been. We're not being hit with 0-day ransomware. We're being hit with ransomware that we've known about for a while, and it's taking advantage of the fact that as IT organizations, we don't do a good job patching. We've got weak password policies, and all the hygiene stuff that I normally talk about. Lack of segmentation in our network. So it's just us doing a better job internally, assuming that eventually the phishing message is going to get through. What happens when it does?
So I mean, that's a good point. Like the bigger companies can afford Proofpoint, and I'm trying to think of the couple other email servers I used in the past. But like, what's a 50-person shop? What's the best what's the best bang for their buck? To even if they do click it, to make sure that doesn't infect everything.
I think the biggest bang is to do the things we talked about. Fix the hygiene stuff first. Make sure you keep all your patches up. Make sure that you've got strong password policies. You're not giving all your users local admin on their desktops. That's how ransomware spreads quickly. And then on top of that,
but I want my screensaver, Mike.
Exactly. Got to download iTunes or whatever it is, right? Yeah. And then after that, it's
what was the not to reminisce, what was the damn thing that everybody downloaded in the late 90s that was like that was a malware
Weather bug or Bonzi Buddy?
Huzzah, LimeWire.
Bonzi Buddy, thank you.
Oh,
Bonzi. May that rot in hell.
Back then, the worst thing that you had, though, was something would pop up and take control of your screen and take control of your volume and embarrass you, and you'd have to just reboot to shut it off. That was the worst thing that happened.
The good old days.
Right. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I sat with a vendor a couple weeks ago. We had having breakfast. He must have said 13 or 14 acronyms, and it took me I almost had to leave my phone open to Google Translate shit, because and I'm supposed to be kind of in the business, there's stuff we hear it batted around all the time, the cloud. We all just said, we all know that's someone else's computer, but stuff like zero trust now, stuff like zero, all the hot words, we're doing machine learning, AI, SIM, auto remediation, endpoint,
Fressa.
Right, but it's getting to be super sloppy on how these marketing terminologies. I guess what's real and what's not when you get down to the brass tacks of this whole thing.
I think we're starting to use, and I think you're right. You're starting to use a lot of these terms to cover a broader and broader range of topics, right? So cloud was a perfect example. But what is cloud? Cloud could mean infrastructure as a service, or a hosting platform, or software as a service, or, to your point, my computers in somebody else's data center. So cloud is really overused. But you touched on some zero trust. Yeah, great concept, but it's used for everything. You should have zero trust for your vendors. You should have zero trust for your employees. But most organizations are not going to be able to roll out.
You get some zero trust. Everybody gets zero trust.
I remember having that conversation once back in my previous CIO role. I had a board member I was fighting for dollars, and I had a board member tell me, well, we trust our people. I said, well, then you don't need me here, because you're paying me not to trust them.
Right.
So, but zero trust is a great concept, but you really have to have a certain level of sophistication in your program to be able to roll out something like that. Think about what it takes to authenticate somebody to the environment and authorize them to all your various assets, and then review that in real time. Real time is a whole nother term we got to talk about.
Yeah.
And near real time. And based on risk, adjust that access. So yeah, it's a great concept and it's a great security model, but there's very few organizations that can actually deploy that with where they're at today with the maturity of their infrastructure.
Well, that's what it's funny, because I was talking to a business owner, and I was kind of joking about it, and I was talking about this product that I said does machine learning, and that's this and that, and he goes, listen, I don't care if there's 10,000 whatever's behind in some warehouse clicking away, as long as my shit's done, I don't have to worry about it. Like, you know what I mean? So I think the vendors think that these words are really, really important, but I think at the end of the day, the companies or the people, the consumers that buy this stuff, I think just want to know that this stuff's done. And
is it kind of like
is
it kind of like just like a mutual, almost like self-importance level of bullshit at some point, where when the right people get in the room and the terminology and the acronyms start getting flown around, that's it's highly, whereas in reality, they both know that at the end of the day, does it work, and does it solve the problem? That's all I need to know. I don't need buzzwords and 37-page PowerPoint presentations. Just does it work, and does it get shit done?
I think that's the buyer beware question, right? AI we can touch on. I'll come back to that. Next generation is a perfect example. Everything today is next generation. That used to mean I created something brand new that solves a new problem. Now it's just my next upgrade in the series is next generation.
Right.
So that's another one of those overused terms that we see a lot. But
and they're still calling them next gen firewalls, right? From I think that's been used for 14 years, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a patch release. That's the next generation.
It's next generation now, because it also incorporates web content filtering. Too old technology, right? So yeah, I mean, you touched on AI. You have a background in that, Bob. I mean, that I think is probably one of the most overused terms that I hear, because I'll probably hear from some of the data scientists out there, but I'll be the first one to say AI doesn't really exist yet. Machine learning does. Deep learning does, but it's really algorithms that are driving outcomes for us, and there's value in that. Trust me, that if you can use math and technology to replace a human being and do a lot of heavy lifting today, and the areas that we've deployed that
faster,
great, but stop calling it something it's not. It's not a living, thinking thing at this point in time.
I mean, wasn't it just automation? Is that, you know what I mean?
In a lot of cases, yeah. I mean, a lot of things that are called quote unquote AI aren't. I mean, to his point, I mean, that's, they are just, they're machine learning, they're tool automation, they're that kind of stuff. They're not really, I mean, yeah, there are, I mean, we've talked about them before. Google has a few AIs running around, doing their thing. And those truly are, but those aren't something that your firewall company has, or that your intrusion detection company has. That's just that's machine learning and automation.
Yeah, they've got a really cool setup in their lobby when you go into one of their buildings, and you'll begin typing a sentence and it'll complete your sentence for you. So, but again, that's just deep learning. I mean, that's an algorithm behind that's doing that for you. And is it accurate? Yeah, more often I used it more often than not. It's correct. It's what I was thinking.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's, I mean, predictive analysis is a huge thing. I mean, but again, that's machine learning. That's taking that's where it all comes down to big data. Let's get another buzzword in there, where, okay, based on certain criteria, yep, you sitting down and starting to type something 98 times out of 100, this is how, I mean, it's no different than, people doing cold reading or, guys doing card tricks and reading a room. Yeah. I mean, you learn how patterns and that kind of stuff work. And that's, you use it to your advantage.
Yeah. After 10 years of marriage, you can complete your spouse's sentence, right? Your brain's machine learning.
Right.
I mean, so at the end of the day, Mike, you're sitting in front of these clients, you're giving them a best practice sheet, and you're kind of giving them pat in the butt and saying, good luck out there. But how much is involved on their end versus their vendor's end versus their consultant's end, right? I mean, it's got to be, this thing is a work in progress. It's never over. Once you think it's over something, you get hit. I mean, all these things got to come into play, or what? Where do you? I guess again, I don't want to say where do you stop, but like at one point, do we kind of say, okay, we're kind of good? Does that point ever happen?
Well, in a selfish standpoint, no, because security is never done because tomorrow there's a new threat. But I think to your point, it's a balance of all three. I think whether or not you use consultants or whether or not you use third parties to provide some of your tactical security services, you still got to address the strategic, operational, and tactical aspects of running your cybersecurity program, and how you choose to do that, and how much you do in house, and how many outside people you bring in to do that. That's still a work in progress, and still something that has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that was the one thing that I was one thing I've never done for a living, and I will never do it for a living, but just being a security analyst and looking at millions of log files and putting stories together and trying to find a needle in the haystack. I mean, when you're looking at these giant, I guess walk me through that. Like you've been through it a little bit, but like walking through these log files,
it's not enjoyable.
It's not.
No, like what, for people that haven't done it before, what the hell sticks out to make you go, oh my God, we found something? Like to me, it's
yeah, Dave's spot on. It's not enjoyable. And I started my career in the forensic side. I was a forensic investigator. So back then we didn't have cool technology. We had Perl scripts and search criteria. And so, it's not, you were doing
let me build another grep command. Hold on.
Doing heavy lifting on your own. So, but to your point, with the amount of data our systems produce today, you just can't have a human being go through it. That's where some of these technologies, the machine learning or the promise of what UEBA can do, the behavior analytics technologies can do, replacing that human effort part and at least going through and it's no different than what we're trying to do with robotic processing, right? We're trying to take mundane tasks and create software to reproduce those mundane tasks. We're trying to do the same thing on the security side with the machine learning and behavior analytics. How do I take all this data? How do I correlate it into a meaningful way? And how do I look for things that are higher risk than all the other noise that's in here, so my people can focus on something meaningful versus just spending all day looking at a log. So that's where we need to get.
But I like log.
It's big, it's heavy, it's wood. No, I mean, and that's
Exactly.
to his point. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, and that's where the machine learning helps, even if it doesn't do everything. If it does the heavy lifting of pouring through millions and tens of millions of lines of log entries to be able to go, okay, guys, here's the 10 you need to pay attention to and see if, and then, oh, by the way, based on your response to those 10, then I know whether or not to bring those 10 up to your attention again.
Yeah, we have to get there because we can't do it the old-fashioned way anymore. The brute force method just isn't going to work.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially in the real-time world. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, back in the day, it wasn't too hard to take a look at a log file, in real time and be able to say, okay, yeah, there's some weird stuff going on. Let me go ahead and make some adjustments. That's but yeah, no, you got 50 servers doing 100 different VMs each and doing it. That's just not going to play.
Yeah, the amount of log data we're generating through all these systems now is it's too much noise. You got to do something to knock it down to something meaningful.
Mike, I got to ask you. I got set straight the other day, and part of the security strategy they had was implementing Microsoft Defender. And for me, I thought that was like having Minesweeper as your firewall. And they said, no, Microsoft's come a long way. It's actually legitimate. And I'm like, I totally took a seat back. Like, when the hell did this happen, and where was I when Microsoft finally put out a decent secured their OS decently?
Well, every third-party application's a potential entry point into your computer, so better Microsoft than McAfee or Norton.
They have come a long way. It's I don't want to pick on any one product. I think I'll sum it up this way. I think if you're defending on just an antivirus program to defend your desktops, you're in a bad position. There's malware that gets past that. There's other technologies you can load now that you can either whitelist or blacklist certain applications. There's things that you can load now that will not allow new executable files or binaries to load, or it can actually create a sandbox and load suspicious thing in sandboxes. We've come a long way with what desktop protection can do. So I guess my answer to your question is, if you're just relying on antivirus, you're going to be behind the curve on a lot of things.
No, it was part of an overall strategy, but the fact that was even part of it, threw me as for a surprise. Just put it that way. Because back then it was like update Defender. You're like, no, why the hell would I want that? Turn it off, disable it. And now we're like, wait a minute, it works.
The game on Atari? Yeah, I'll take that. But no, not
yeah, exactly.
I still got my Atari around somewhere. I don't know where it's at.
So do I actually. Just so this is here, and then all the retro video games are on the other side of the basement. That was kind of, I think everybody should have at least gone through one quarantine project by now. And mine was getting 17 old gaming systems hooked up to a flat screen over there.
Nice.
So what else is going on in your world, Mike? What are you seeing that's sticking out, or that's crazy, or just things that have changed because we're all in this weird shutdown? What anything glaring out on your side?
I think you've touched on a lot of them. The work from home has been a big issue for a lot of people, and trying to get their hands around that. Ransomware is still big. I'm seeing probably 2, maybe even 3 of those a week. We have a lot of people being hit by those. Believe it or not, the fraud is still working. I just had another one the other week where the whole gift card concept works. I don't know why anybody would believe that their CEO asked them to pick up 50 gift cards and open them up and take pictures of the back and send them to you. But believe it or not, that still works. Still seeing
Mike,
that.
Did I tell you that story? It was a contractor, $12,000 because he got an email from the CEO and basically they're from the CFO, sorry, and then basically like, we're not compensating you. Like that one I can't even begin to tell you. Not you don't want to call anybody stupid because you get an email from the CFO and you're kind of excited, but yeah, $12,000 in gift cards at Meijer.
Well, and the phishing, we exaggerate because we still think that that's one that shouldn't work, but it does. But the other phishing is getting so targeted now. I worked on one successful breach where we found the phishing email, and you couldn't really blame the person because it looked just like 20 other emails that person got during the day with an attachment that looked just like a purchase order and invoice. It's like, this is what this person does day in and day out. There was no difference in this email from 20 other ones that individual received. So when you see that, that's one of those, well, that one's going to work and they're going to click on that one. So that's where we teach people to still just be conscious of the things that you're doing during the day. It's the see something, say something thing. You might not have caught the initial breach because that email wasn't suspicious to you then, but at some point in time, when you continue working on that email, continue processing that invoice, and you're asked to set up a new account, at some point something's going to become suspicious.
I might have done something wrong here. Can we take a look at this? Can we?
Yeah, so that's the educational piece of this, where it's never too late to pause and say, okay, maybe something's wrong here.
Well, and then you have to deal with, unfortunately, the human nature of nobody likes to admit a mistake. Nobody wants to, yeah.
No, because we started talking. I had a friend call me, and he's like, "Are you trying to email me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he goes, me, and that's me." And he goes, "All right, I just want to make sure, that it's not someone spoofing you." And I'm like, "Okay," but like we're finding out now, or we're talking to people saying like 2-factor communication. Like if you even sniff that something's wrong, like just text the person or Facebook them or call them or anything.
Yeah.
From a mobile, from any, you just to say like, is this you? No one's gonna get mad at you if you try to, I just want to make sure,
It's really your best protection. Pick up the phone. We've gotten so used to automation that we live in a digital world. We'll communicate that way back and forth. And, if that can get spoofed, then they can own that whole process.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're getting it now with people setting up fake profiles on LinkedIn, people setting up fake profiles on Instagram. I got texted the other day and I'm like, wait a minute, it's someone I haven't talked to in a while. So I was like, hey, how have you been? And, it's not them, you find that out real quick. I mean, you raised all the red flags, but like, yeah, I don't know if they're getting smart or they're just getting relentless, one of the two, but I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon.
Nope. I forgot. It was a 2020 Gartner had that stat. More than half the information, maybe it was 2021, but they predict more than half the information you see on the internet is going to be fake, and a lot of it's just back to what we talked about before. They said AI, but the same techniques we talked about before.
You mean it's not already? I'm so.
You got machines creating this content and setting up these things faster than a human being can go. Just think about how long it takes somebody at Facebook or LinkedIn to look at a profile, make a judgment, and delete it. And machines are setting them up at 100 times that pace. So
right.
Well, that's what the one was there a documentary or something we were talking to? I don't know where if it was either on TV or talking about like the bot factories that pet people up against each other, and that was kind of like the last 2 years online, like at least on like Reddit and other things, were like, they would take these extreme sides and get people riled up. And just like, we don't know what's real, what's a bot. I know we have one friend that types his name out in Ukrainian on Facebook, and every time he tries to argue politics, they're like, yeah, whatever, Russian bot. Yeah. Like, no, it's really me. Like, but like, that's the one thing, like, don't argue with strangers. It's I don't know why people got into that habit. Like, if you don't know someone, like, you don't know their context, but like, yeah.
But if someone's wrong on the internet, Bob, they must be corrected.
But to your point, Dave, I think you said it earlier, it's not already. So I know Gartner's predicting this 50% of stuff we read is false, but I like your point where it's not already, because I was teaching my kids 7-8 years ago when they were first getting online that you can't believe what you can read. Yep. Because I could have went out there at that point in time and written a documentary on how to do brain surgery. And I promise you, it would have sounded pretty good. I would have done some research. I wouldn't follow it if I were you, but I could have put it out there.
Hey, I can go buy a lab coat and stand behind a podium. Life's good.
Exactly.
Well, that's what was the story, Randy? Like, there was a Babylon Bee story, but then they got banned, or they got something for like
they got demonetized over a Monty Python joke.
Yeah.
Huh. Right, but it was satire quoting Monty Python, and they got like kicked off of one of the social networks.
They didn't get kicked off; they just got demonetized. Yeah.
Right. Damn Monty Python did British humor. See, they don't get it either.
Exactly, nobody gets it. That's the problem. Yeah, nobody.
I know.
See, I don't have that problem anymore. When you work for a consulting firm like I do, you have to really temper a lot of the things you say. This is about as wild as I can get is when I'm with you guys. So.
Good thing it's not being recorded and sent out to.
We're happy to be that outlet.
So I guess we'll cut you loose, but like. A couple best practices maybe to take away that maybe people haven't thought about yet. Something, to keep in your sleeve. I know maybe we got to get you billable before we give those away, but if you got one for all of us, that'd be great.
I guess the biggest things that I'm throwing out to folks now, we touched on it earlier, we can't defend our perimeters or our networks anymore. We really have to defend at our data, and a lot of us don't know where our data is. So spend some time really understanding where your data is, and what's sensitive, and the things you can do to defend it. And beyond that, I think it's just we need to just start doing a better job not being the easy target. These machines are attacking us now, and it's not the guy in the hoodie in his parents' basement. We still have that image in our head of that, that person being the person attacking us, and we're being attacked by machines that don't care about us, don't know who we are.
Who also wear hoodies, let's be clear, because
sure, of course they do.
Yeah.
But they're looking just for an easy target. And so if you're that organization that has a firewall and antivirus, and you think you're sufficient, you're going to be one of those easy targets that they're going to find, and you'll be one of the next ransomware stories. So do the things that you need to do to not be that easy target. I'm not telling you to triple, quadruple your cybersecurity budget, but try not to be the easy target.
It's right along the lines of measure twice, cut once, hover twice, click once.
Can't say it better. I think that's a great way to put it.
Well, Mike, you're free to find on LinkedIn. Am I correct?
I am.
Okay. Mike Lipinski, Plant Moran, Metro Detroit. Mike, I can't thank you enough for the time and the insight trying to waddle through this cybersecurity world as it gets a little crazy. So appreciate clearing the clouds, no pun intended, for us a little bit.
Well, gentlemen, thanks for having me. I always enjoy hanging out with you guys. Maybe next time we can do it in person.
That'd be great.
No, I appreciate it. Look forward to next time it opens back up. We can have some beers. So
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your night, man.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Good to see you, sir. Mike Lipinski, Plant Moran, appreciate that time spent. He's definitely a wealth of knowledge, been a CISO for manufacturers, been a CIO for a large company. Now he's actually a billable consultant, but he's in charge of the security practice of Plant. So yeah, great wealth of knowledge.
Oh yeah, very much so. And yeah, he's always just been a great guy.
Yeah, no doubt. Loves his barbecue, man. Oh my God.
Who doesn't? Come on.
Oh, he puts out some good food too. Oh my God, never mind. Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
So, dude.
Oh my God, the Mandalorian. Oh my God.
So I'm just gonna start with this.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
No, yeah, spoiler. Fast forward. FFWD. Preparing to fast forward. It's getting to the point. Oh, somebody got me. Mel got me a Spaceballs the face mask. By the way, it's awesome.
Nice. How's she doing?
Not good. We'll talk offline.
Okay. Is she back?
Oh, here's Jim. No, her stepfather passed away. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. She was back for a month, but she's gone already. It's gotten to the point with Mandalorian where I have to watch the Easter egg videos afterwards so they can tell me what was in the book, what was in what video game that I didn't play, what was in the book I didn't read, what part was this, who did that cameo. So I can, and then I watch it again and then I look for that shit. So that's how I watch Mandalorian now.
Well, and I've learned you can't so Mandalorian is one of those shows that I cannot watch as background noise. You absolutely have to be fully paying attention to it when you're watching it.
Oh.
And you're not going to catch everything the first time you watch it. You're just not.
Well, the funny thing is so in this episode, I'm like, oh, the frog lady, that's a Shlee stack. And then this whole episode was like, oh, that's the alien eggs on the ground. Oh, that's the Tron video game with the spiders, but then you look back and you find out, oh no, those were in the books. Those were in the original art. Those were, part of this book, and that was part of this lore. And okay, all right.
Yeah, they're great at doing Easter eggs for the fans on many, many levels, and not in such a way that it distracts or detracts from anything. But it's one of those, if you know, yeah.
But the whole oh my God, X-Wings, oh my God, attack mode.
Yeah.
But what are you pulling them over for not having a blinker or his brake lights are out? What'd you turn into? Shitty mall cops?
Right. Hey, can you switch over to channel 2 for a sec?
Right, exactly. It's that's what they've become. And it was, I don't know if that was purposely trying to mock they're they have nothing going on, so they're just pulling people over for having bad.
I mean, it did kind of seem that way, that they were just kind of messing with them, especially at the end. When they're, hey, how about you guys, help me, weld this hole in my hull and I'll forego the bounties. Nah, how about you just fix your crap and we won't bust you.
Right. By the way, the deviled egg, this is the first time I was pissed at Baby Yoda.
Oh my God, when he first touched the canister, I thought he was like, oh, I feel these eggs through the force or something.
Yeah.
No, he just wanted to eat them.
Right. And that some bitch caught a sec at the I missed the very end of the first time around. I watched it again after the Easter egg YouTube video, snuck another one in. I'm like, you some bitch.
Oh, at the very end.
Right.
That's right, dude. That's why I love the meme that I threw up on the page. That's the you're
best.
That's don't touch the deviled eggs in the fridge. They're for the guests.
Is it just me, or is the child more animated this season than last season?
Absolutely. And
last season he just felt like a.
I noticed that the first episode, even just dumb shit, with when he was in the sidecar on the speeder bike, or in the thing on the speeder bike, and his ears were flapping back in the wind like a dog. Just stuff like that.
I do
My
have
wife
one question
thought-
though. How did this episode really advance the plot? This felt kind of like a filler episode.
So
it's no different than no. Hold on, I get this. Then you season 1, they had these episodes. The one with Bill Burr, where they're on the police thing. They had the one with the kid that was the my God, why can't I think of his damn name or whatever? The bounty hunter kid that was the they went off in the why can't I think in season 1? They had these episodes like every 2 or 3 of them. It's not a filler. I think he's looking for Mandalorians to drop off the kid baby to.
Yeah, and to me, I think it does a couple of things. One, it introduces for the first time the concept of the New Republic. So the first episode, touched on the fall of the Empire, and here we are a little bit later. So this episode kind of introduces the concept of the New Republic still, flying around with their X-wings, trying to establish some law and order and that, and control. It does the it kind of reinforces the Mandalorian code. The hey, when she called, and by the way, the whole wiring up through the robot was just creepy as hell.
It was awesome though. Yeah.
But yeah, that whole, I thought, Mandalorians always stuck to their word, always honored a deal. That kind of stuff. I thought that was good.
Sitting in Han and Greedo's seat.
Yeah.
Playing Lando Calrissian and Euchre.
Yeah.
Dude, that was awesome.
Sabak.
And then apparently the bartender was Mark Hamill. They stuck that one in.
I saw that, yeah.
And then I watched one video. People got way too much time on their hands when they were doing the Death Star blowing up news thing and the hologram on the last episode.
Oh, you're talking about the Orabesh scroll?
Yeah, it was like Luke Skywalker blows up Death Star.
It was the opening scroll from Return of the Jedi, which
right.
made no sense because it made reference to the
But the fact that it said Luke, so someone actually knows the alphabet, went and did like the multi-meal decoder pen or whatever, not multi-meal.
The serial decoder ring, yeah.
Yeah. So did the decoder ring and said, "Oh my God, it says Luke Skywalker. Let's do a YouTube video." And of course, clowns like me watch it. Go, "Oh my God, it said Luke Skywalker."
when for all you know, it did not say Luke Skywalker.
Well, we'll see now that there's now I'm hearing we're gonna get Ezra now. So like, because Filoni did all the Rebels, so now they're gonna bring a ton of shit in from there over the next 3 episodes.
Yeah, there's supposed to be. Well, I mean, they talked about this before it even came out that there was just the introduction of Ahsoka. There was going to be a very strong Rebels tie-in this season.
Right. But we never thought we were actually going to get Ezra,
Yeah.
Wonder if they get Freddie Prinze Jr. to
we had talked about that for the live action stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. He does the voice, Randy. I don't know if you knew that.
I watched it, yeah.
Oh, because Freddie Prinze Jr. hasn't worked since Can't Hardly Wait, so they got to give him some work,
Oh my God.
Did I say that out loud?
What
was that before Scooby-Doo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can't Hardly Wait was, God, 96, 97, if that.
I saw that in the theater, and I dubbed it Can't Hardly Wait to Leave the Theater.
Nice.
Yeah,
it had Jennifer Love Hewitt looking really, really good, and Jenna Elfman.
That's probably the only reason we went to the theater to go see it. Yeah.
So apparently, people are really keen on finding booze, pizza, and weed these days. This past week.
That was really funny to me for one reason, is like the Google, like the number one search on Google, not the number one search overall, but one of the top searches was liquor stores near me. And I'm like going, all right, if I need some booze, how the hell do I not know what's my corner liquor store? Like usually when you move in, it's like, where's the corner gas station?
I got to find a pizza joint, a gas station, and a liquor store.
Yeah. Where's the market? Yeah. So like that's, the people were looking for, booze and pizza. Like, again, I don't, stuff like that makes no sense to me on who's Googling it, but who am I, right?
Well, I mean,
but they say,
it could have had something to do with like maybe, you know, at a certain time of day, you don't know what's open or not. You know, and so you're doing it that way. Who knows?
Well, they were like alcohol delivery sales. There's a delivery service. Sales were 68% higher than the previous 4 Tuesdays on average. 133% in DC, New York, 110%. Yeah. Well, what else are you gonna do, man? You're stuck in the house. You're stuck watching the mess on TV.
Well, yeah, and yeah,
Drink
instead of doom scrolling, you're just doom watching CNN for 96 hours.
Prime Pizza in Burbank in downtown LA, delivery orders were triple, up 250%. Like, I didn't realize pizza was part of this whole was watching TV. But yeah, you know what I want to talk about too. That I'm starting to get pissy about it, but I understand that you can't come out with movies and content because all this shit, you know what I mean? Everybody's on lockdown, but like the amount of dubbed movies on Netflix right now is way too damn high. They're like, wow, let's watch this. And it's like watching 60s Kung Fu, like with some, you know, and most of them are like Spanish or French. It's like some rogue cop movie. I'm like, that looks pretty dope. And I put it on and I'm like, can't do it. I can't watch it. And my wife's like, I want to watch it. So I'm like, sat here and played Clash Royale on my phone. It was like, you want to fight? Fight me? You know, like,
yeah,
can't watch it. Like,
I watched The Protector.
Well, and then the one,
and it's a Turkish show. So I mostly listened to it and only looked up for like action heavy scenes. Otherwise, I was like watching my phone while I was listening to it.
Well, then the one, there was like a sex scene, and it was like a loud sex scene. It wasn't like, you know, like an 80s movie or something, like, you know. And it was like, then they had to hire a voice actor to sit here and like, do me. You know what I mean? It's like, how awkward.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you couldn't just leave in the original audio for that part. You could tell it was dubbed. You know, again, I don't, and I get it. They're trying to give us movies and stuff. There was a, God bless it. I wish I would remember the Hummingbird.
Being the voice actor getting that call.
Yeah, right. You're reading the script and you're like, you got a grunt? Like how? Like,
is that or is that
There's a, if you're a networking guy or gal or into fiber optics, there's actually it's an okay movie. It was just fun for the technology shit. Because I was in fiber optics like back in 04, 03. A couple of the shit I actually did. But it was a movie called The Hummingbird Project with it's like Andrew Skarsgård and what the hell's her name? From Desperado. Why can't I think of her name right now?
Salma Hayek.
Yeah, Salma Hayek.
Thank you. Yeah. But it was like they're trying to. It was a financial firm that was trying to tunnel through a mountain to deliver, get it to 16 milliseconds. So that, you know, Skarsgård was like the genius. Lex Luthor was one of the guy that was trying to buy all the land, and it was like tons of cool technology in it. So yeah, if you just want to watch it for the tech, it's a good watch, but it's not it's a medium movie. Did you find it?
The Hummingbird Project?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's not that old.
No, it's from 18.
Yeah.
But like they were using older technology. It was kind of, I don't know.
Gotcha.
I don't know if it was a true story. If it was a true story and it was based earlier, but you know.
It's a period piece set in the 1980s. I don't know.
Well, whatever. It was for the tech. It was good. So I guess Cisco, you know, speaking of something topical with Mike, the remote work security trends.
Yeah.
You know, Cisco's dying to be a security company, even though half your business is route and switch, but you won't acknowledge it. It's 80% margin business. Did I say that out loud? Basically,
Amazon still pretends they're a bookstore.
Do they really now? But apparently, you know, top priorities. I mean, some of this stuff's common, but they're like cybersecurity has become top priority for organizations. It's more important than pretty much anything going on right now. Mm-hmm. And then 70% of medium organizations have experienced an increase of 25% or more in cyber threats or alerts. You know, and then security access is one of the top challenges, like identity and all that. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of them.
I mean, even you know the bad actors are stuck at home bored just like the rest of us, so they got more free time.
Right. Yeah, they're saying 66% are using VPNs, 58% are using a cloud service through a web browser, 48% are using remote access, 34% are just using a firewall, and then 33% are relying on passwords alone for that. So
Oof.
yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stuff if you want to Google it. Our friends at Blue Mirror put it out, but it's remote work security transfer system. So yeah.
So I got to ask. You pointed, speaking of movies, you pointed out that Porky's was on Amazon Prime. I'm curious.
Have you watched it lately?
Did they put any kind of disclaimer on it?
Zero.
See, I'm just dude. If Blazing Saddles has to have a 10-minute intro by a college professor to explain it contextually, why doesn't Porky's?
I forgot how bad. I remembered a few things, but like within the first 5 minutes, you have them asking everyone, "Did you get the N-word?" You have anti-Semitic remarks against a guy. You have sexual harassment that's being laughed at. You have, I mean, this is probably one of the guys looking through girls' showers and
peeking at girls in the showers. Yeah, you've got teachers sleeping. Yeah,
and they think it's funny. Dude, this is just bad. I wasn't cringing because I grew up with this stupid movie, but man, this is one of those ones where you're like, holy shit, like the stuff that they were saying and doing. Like,
how is
I forgot.
This out?
Oh, I know. I forgot how bad it was, and I'm watching this like literally like, oh my god, if so and so saw this, what would they say right now? And I remember the funny thing is my daughter was coming down with her friend, and the whole the crank call scene at the diner was going on, and they're like,
hey, but he goes by Mike.
Me this look. Yeah, exactly, Michael.
He goes by Mike.
Yeah, but that's then the funny thing, here's the funny part. I'm watching with my wife, and I'm like, the hooker in the beginning scene or whatever. That's
Miss Cherry mom. Forever, if I recall correctly.
I believe it's Cherry Forever, but it's Webster's mom.
God damn my brain for remembering that.
Cherry something, yeah. That's Webster's mom, and then the sheriff, Porky's brother, is Webster's dad.
Is Alex Karras, yeah.
Right, Mongo. It was absolutely ridiculous. And then Kim Cattrall is the Lassie. Yeah.
Why did they call her Lassie?
The tally. I swear to God, the tallywhacker scene almost pissed my pants.
Dude, I remember laughing so hard I was crying at that scene when they were trying with. We should bring in a sketch artist.
Have you? Yeah, Randy, you have no idea what we're talking about.
I may have seen the movie when I was younger, but I don't remember any of it.
You didn't. If you're not even, yeah.
It sounds like something my dad would have watched.
Thanks
I'm
Randy.
sure he did.
Kiss my ass, Randy.
See, that was the movie that we watched when our dad. Hold on, we got sent to bed, our moms went to bed. Our dad stayed up late to watch these kind of movies, and then we kind of snuck behind the kitchen table on hands and knees, and like tried not to giggle so your old man wouldn't hear you. And then if he caught you, he'd let you sit down for like a half an hour. He's like, "Don't tell your ma." That was this movie.
Well, when did this come out? I think it was like a year before I was born. So
82.
Yeah, a year before I was born.
But it hasn't been on anything streaming since we've been I
don't remember it. Yeah.
Anywhere. So, and I know there's like Porky's 2, Porky's 3, but yeah, this is.
There was Porky's 2 the next day. There was Porky's 3, The Revenge, that took place on a casino boat, if I recall correctly, as the plot point.
On the Amazon Prime list of related videos is Zapped with Scott Baio, and the cover is using telekinesis to lift a girl's skirt.
Right, but that was my first crush. Heather Thomas from The Fall Guy was topless in it, and I want to say I was going to say made me a man when that movie came out, but that was nice. It was well talked about in the junior high circuit.
Oh, of course it was.
But yeah, imagine making a movie. Yeah, I'm going to use telekinesis to take off girls' clothes. Like, oh yeah, sounds legit. I'll green light that one. what are you, Adam Sandler? Like
Harvey Weinstein's first movie. Yeah.
Right.
But then I saw, just a downer for a second. Alex Trebek passed, which sucks. But since they were apparently both fans of it, it is fitting that Sean Connery died first, so that he would, we meet again, Trebek.
How bizarre is that? Yeah, because it's like, oh my God, those two were like almost as famous as SNL characters as they were as, famous characters. Everyone knew that. Ashwords for $200.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like anal bum cover. That's an album cover. And I do. Dude, as on as SNL has been this year, I am really hoping they find a way to pull together a reunion of some sort of that for this week. Like, I just feel like that would be fitting and amazing.
Who was it wasn't Phil Hartman. Who was Connery? That was I can't think of his name.
Yeah, he was the guy he was famous for playing Connery and Bill Clinton. I don't remember his name.
Was it Alan? Anyway, yeah. No, that'd be Well, then you got to get Burt Reynolds too, right? And you got to get
Turd Ferguson. You gotta have a Turd Ferguson thing. Absolutely.
Right.
Daryl Hammond.
Thank you, Daryl Hammond. Yep.
Daryl Hammond. Thank you. So are you? I know you're not. I know Randy's not, but we know of two friends that probably will. Neil and Tom Lawrence that are probably going to go buy some Tesla tequila.
Yeah, they probably will.
And at what point where you're making Tesla cars and Tesla trucks and you're kind of taking over the world and you're doing some awesome stuff and you're like, you know what? I made a rocket. I want to make some tequila.
Dude, why not? I mean, it's a brand thing. And there are people that will buy it just because it's Tesla, just because it's cool, just because whatever. They will.
At $250 a bottle.
Yeah, it'll be like a nerd status thing. Absolutely.
And if you see, it looks like, I don't know if you can see that or if it doesn't come in. It's like literally a lightning bolt. The bottle. People are going to buy it just for the bottle.
Yeah.
It looks like a San Diego Chargers logo.
Oh, dude, you know me. I'm a sucker for a good liquor bottle. I'll get one.
And hints of vanilla, cinnamon, and dry fruit aged in French oak barrels. Because when you and then they trash on it. Because when you want to drink tequila, you think of France.
You think French oak barrels? Absolutely.
I do have a shot for you that I made for the ladies this week, yesterday, called a duck fart. Oh,
those have been around forever.
Yeah, they never had a duck fart before, so they introduced them to duck farts, and it's their new favorite drink.
That's
for those keeping.
Yeah.
Peanut butter whiskey, Kahlua, and Bailey's. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
I don't know if that's the original.
That sounds
no, it's
awful.
It's I think it's just Crown Royal, but they layer. I was looking up Snickertinis, which was no, it was
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah, so it was just whiskey originally. That's why I knew it. Yeah, it was Kahlua, Bailey's, and whiskey. So yeah, if you were just using peanut butter.
Right.
Whiskey.
Yeah, peanut butter whiskey.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll stick with my my peanut butter and jelly shots, thanks, or my Reese's peanut butter cup shots.
Yeah, that was we were but the Bailey's, and that's just the duck fart. Kahlua and Bailey, or Kahlua and the whiskey. Yeah. So apparently they're doing a Boba Fett spinoff already.
So, and this was one of those things that was rumored a couple years ago, got heavily rumored about a year ago, and now, like, I'm almost mad they're doing it now. Like, it's especially after
why?
Well, especially after the first episode of The Mandalorian, you have current spinoff potential there. Like, what? Like, why did you wait until now to do this? Like, that's the part that I guess just annoys me.
Yeah, it's like The Mandalorian kind of gave closure on that story. Like, they wrapped up. I mean, it wasn't a whole story in itself, but that's
well. I mean, they haven't given closure to it because he's still, wandering around at the end of the episode. But still,
Well, that's the one thing they were that they were not to bring it back to Mandalorian talk again, but like, you got Boba Fett at the end of 1, and 2, he gets knocked up by those the bounty hunters or whatever for the baby, and then he walks into Mos Eisley. Boba Fett saw all that shit, and he doesn't he's just kind of he's just kind of hanging out in the background.
Well, and so honestly, to get back to your earlier question, Randy, I almost wonder how much of some of this stuff is set up for a future episode. Are we going to see an episode from Fett's point of view at some point? And it's going to be nothing more than different views of the scenes that we've already seen in other episodes of him watching what's going on, and basically, because one would assume he wants his damn armor back. What?
That, and did you think that, I thought it because of the speaking, but that dude that had the knife to Baby Yoda, was that a Jawa with all his shit off?
I wasn't sure. It looked like it was supposed.
Because when it did the or whatever, I was wait a minute.
Yeah, it looked like it was supposed to be, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, because the Easter egg filled, they didn't know either. So they were like, wait a minute, is that supposed to be Jawa? Is that without his robe and all that?
Yeah.
And they weren't sure. Yeah. And these are the nerds that study it frame by frame for 16 hours, then put out half-hour YouTube videos. So I'll take their word before I take mine.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, and that's, but I mean, and it is. I mean, that's kind of the cool thing is they do such a good job with that stuff that you don't have to be a super hardcore nerd to enjoy it. But if you are, it's almost like I always tell people like the X-Files or Law and Order or any of the shows like that. You can sit down and watch any one episode and be good. If you watch all of them, you will catch the overarching themes and you will catch all the other stuff that's going on that you might not know about, and it'll make it a better experience, but you don't have to.
Right. Well, it's kind of like the whole killing the Krayt Dragon. When you find out that was the skeleton in 4, and then it was the sound Obi-Wan made, and there was the pearl from the video game, and then it all ties together. And that's how Boba Fett survived, because this thing ate the Sarlacc that the pity was in. You know what I mean? You're like, oh shit. Otherwise it was an entertaining episode regardless.
Yeah. So to me, that depends. I'm curious to see how much they're going to stick with what they've let remain canon. There is a story about Boba Fett's survival, and getting out of the getting out of the Sarlacc and that kind of stuff, and being rescued by basically Dengar. I'm curious to see how that's, if they're going to address it at all, because we don't know. That could have been a throwaway just to make us nerds happy, and it is what it is. But if they do get into it at all, I mean, it'll be. I'm curious to see how they're gonna what they're gonna let remain canon.
But here's what I love about Filoni's hell, if I'm gonna write this thing, I'm gonna be a goddamn X-wing pilot. I ain't sitting on the side. Just he writes himself as an X-wing pilot.
Not the first time they've done it. So there was in the episode with Bill Burr, the X-wing pilots were the directors. Were several of the directors.
Oh yeah. Yep, I remember that. But apparently the Asian guy with the was like a cosplayer, but he was in some show.
Tahiti.
Yeah. But anyway, no, it's best thing going on TV right now. But what's Disney Plus was bitching that their numbers are way down. This isn't carrying them. They were talking about it. The Mandalorian hasn't hit The Boys or Stranger Things numbers yet, not even close. And I'm kind of shocked because Baby Yoda's on cereal boxes, for Christ's sake. But The Boys is that much watched?
Well, I'm wondering. Well, because keep in mind, a lot of people have Amazon Prime because they have Amazon Prime, and so that kind of comes along with it. Disney Plus just hit the end of a lot of their first year promotional offers, where people that had for Verizon gave you a year free, or whoever else gave you a year free, that kind of stuff. They're just hitting that end of the first year, and so I'm wondering how many people are dropping off and not renewing.
Plus, streaming isn't Disney's only business. They've got the parks and all the broadcast networks, and
they're not relying on the parks.
Well, yeah, but the negatives in the parks affect their overall business. So, like trying to prop up parks numbers with a streaming service.
Mm.
Hey, if you're gonna go now. No lines for the Kylo Ren ride.
Yeah. Free COVID with every ticket purchase. That's
You get one of the body condoms like in Porky's. You just wear one of those.
Right. Yeah, get one of those like the full body suits that we had talked about that looked like they were trying to be Dead Alpha or or they were trying to be Daft Punk.
The boy in the bubble, Tron Travolta, and just have him get wheeled around.
The big giant hamster wheels. That's what you need, and just run around.
Yes, that too. And you don't even have to get in this seat on the water rides. You can just go in the wheel. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Just push me onto the flume ride. Just push me into the water. I'll be good. So unfortunately, we've got Fred coming in next week, Fred Brown. And he's got some good news, right? Oh yeah, no, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Well, no, because apparently we're waiting for the final count. Until the final counts, COVID still exists. That's the thing. But so there was news today of it was Pfizer that released some results about their vaccine, which people got a little too over anxious about. Let's be clear, because it was a test pool of 94 people. And the real trials involve tens of thousands of people, and so they said it's going to be well into 2021 before a vaccine is actually available. And then the other important thing in that article that came out was that they plan on tracking these initial test groups for up to 2 years in order to fully meet guidelines and safety standards and that kind of stuff to track side effects. So in reality, it's going to be 2022, 2023 before we have a vaccine that is both commonly available and proven to be safe. So there's that to keep in mind. And with that to keep in mind, the stock market, like just bottoming on Zoom and other work from home apps, probably a little premature today.
If you look at it though, I looked at the 1 year. I mean, it's still record high. It just fell off the table for like a solid 3 seconds if you're jumping.
Yeah. And I get it. Yeah, I mean, they're all still way above where they used to be, but apparently, like everybody was, jumping ship today, so it's probably not a bad time to buy, even though it's still way higher than they were. But yeah.
Yeah, I saw a tweet earlier. The whiplash of learning about a vaccine is 90% effective in a sample of 94 subjects. But it could be ready at the end of the year as long as it's stored at negative 70 degrees throughout the whole supply chain.
Right.
I'm in.
Now, is that with the microchip or without the microchip? I'm confused. Is that...
It's not a real microchip. It's like the Martin Short movie. The inner space. They inject that into you.
Okay.
So that it's a little robot that swims in your veins.
The little dude.
It's not
everybody gets their own little micro dude. Perfect.
Everybody gets their own little dude. Right. And he sees out of your eyes, and then he gets to tell the government what you did and said. Right.
That reminds me, the magic school bus could be swimming around inside your butthole right now, and you wouldn't even know it.
Oh, good old Mrs. Frizzle. Can't we get better
Andy,
technology?
I pooped that thing out years ago.
I want Dreamscape. That's all I want. I don't. That's all I ask for.
Which one was that?
That was the really, really bad. It was the same guy from Inner Space, which is why it triggered the thought for me. That you could enter into somebody's dreams. It was Inception before it was Inception. It had like the big cobra-headed monster at the end of it, the dude that turned into the cobra. Like you can enter people's dreams and kill them in their dreams, and before Freddy Krueger and all that stuff. It was
I don't remember that one at all. You remember Lawnmower Man?
Yeah. Well, yeah, based on a Stephen King story. Absolutely.
Right. When you go to sleep, a guy shows up and mows your lawn, and then you wake up and your lawn's cut, and
Yeah, that's actually how that works. Was
that the movie?
That's about all I got. Anybody else?
No, I'm super brain dead. We had our annual HOA meeting today.
Yeah, I had there was a school board meeting that
Zoom.
I did not pay attention to because I was getting ready for this, and apparently it's a good thing that I didn't because I'd be drunk.
I purposely missed every school board meeting because there's no way I want to be a part of it. Like I just at this point, I'm going to make sure my kids are good and whatever you guys figure out,
Yeah.
Because I think Annie was supposed to go back next week, and they pushed that back, and everybody's up, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I was actually just talking with one of the show hosts that I was with last night. His wife is a teacher, and she's in Birmingham, and apparently West Bloomfield has gone back to virtual. Troy has gone back to virtual, but Birmingham has not yet. So it's weird watching all the different school districts kind of figure the shit out on the fly and not. Yeah, it's kind of weird to me.
Didn't send a link over about any of these, but a couple of things came out of the elections. Massachusetts passed their right to repair automotives bill.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty good.
What is? You couldn't fix your cars before?
Well, no, it's that whole, if you own it, you can do stuff to it. Yeah.
Yeah, like John Deere, Apple, whatever, make it difficult to repair things that you buy.
Oh, I didn't know I know John Deere. I didn't know it was that problem with cars.
Potentially,
they were trying to.
Yeah. Yeah.
The automotives were trying to get legislation pushed through that basically said if you did not bring it back to the dealership, all your warranties were voided.
Oh.
And then, what is it, Proposition 22 in California about Uber and Lyft drivers do not have to be full-time employees anymore.
Yeah.
Overturn something that the legislature passed in
Thank
September.
God.
And then, what was it? Oregon decriminalized all street drugs.
Yeah, apparently the Oregon Trail is now a line of coke. That's
So here's what I was trying to get. So I can have crack now. Someone's going to answer this for me. I can have crack. That's fine. But who do I buy it from? That's illegal? Like, so distribution is still illegal? But like personal consumption's fine, which I'm totally fine with, by the way. But like, how do I get it? Not that I'm going to drive to Oregon and buy crack, but
but in case you wanted to. No, I mean, and it may be one of those things where they're still figuring that out. I remember when weed was initially legalized here, yes, you could own it, and you could have it, but you couldn't buy it. And so
Right.
It was, hey, you buy this T-shirt for $100, and I give you a bag of weed to go along with it.
right, pencil, $150 pencil, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean that's the thing that's the weird thing that even with weed is like there's people building $20 million facilities in like Lake Orion.
Yep.
But it's illegal. They can have it taken away from them tomorrow. But it's legal. But it's not. But like you can grow it, but
illegal, but it's not federal legal. It's
right.
A bunch of other states legalized it for recreational and medical use too. So I think marijuana in some form is now legal in 15 states.
Good. I mean, that's the one thing they got to look at, like just for Denver, for example, and just like what bad has come of it other than Taco Bell sales going through the roof and $2 billion in tax revenue.
Congratulations to drugs for winning the war on drugs.
Right.
Well, yeah. Randy, you know what? How about you tweet that from IT and you take credit for it, because that's the name of this episode. It's good. So on that note, you know what? We're not going to get any better than that line. So we're going to cut this one.
All right, that's a good closure.
Yeah. Randy, thank you for naming this episode. Hey, I'd like to thank Mike Lipinski, former CISO, currently the security principal at Plant Moran. Awesome information. He's a wealth of knowledge. Hit him up on LinkedIn. On behalf of Bob, Dave, and Randy, do us all a favor. Drink up your drinks. Get your phone numbers. You don't got to go home. You just got to get the hell out of here. See you next week. Drive careful. Beat it.
See you guys.